This is CBC Vancouver News.
But it is kind of disappointing to see it go down this route because some of our American products we love.
A day after BC's premier announces a slew of countermeasures to the U.S. tariffs, some local businesses are acting quickly to remove American booze from their shelves. Plus,
we're in for some really cold weather, and it's met the threshold for the city's emergency weather response.
as temperatures dip across the south coast, shelters in Nanaimo are working to keep the city's unhoused population safe. Also,
it's been fun to help people and pour into people and mentor kids the same way that I've been mentored in my life.
we mark Black History Month with a look at a Metro Vancouver program empowering the next generation of Black women. Hello, thanks for joining us. I'm Janella Hamilton. Canada has been quick to respond to Donald Trump's tariffs that will begin Tuesday, but with millions of livelihoods tied to a free trade with the U.S., many Canadians are also feeling anxious and let down by a long-standing ally. JP Tasker reports.
After U.S. President Donald Trump launched a trade war, Canada is hitting back.
We don't want to be here. We didn't ask for this. But we will not back down.
And now Ottawa has published a detailed list of the $155 billion worth of American goods Canada will target. More than 1,000 products, everything from juice and liquor to makeup and motorcycles. Fruits and vegetables, jewelry and washing machines also made the lengthy list.
Well, Canada's a very bad abuser.
It's retaliation against Trump for striking Canada first with a 25% tariff on virtually all our goods and a 10% tax on energy.
In this moment, we must pull together because we love this country.
Trump's tariffs will be devastating for the Canadian economy. So many products will be priced out of the U.S. market.
And the impact will be dramatic. It's going to be quick.
More than 2 million jobs are tied to U.S. exports, and the premiers say hundreds of thousands of them could vanish. Ottawa is planning some sort of aid for those affected.
Canadians want us to stand proudly against this kind of action, but to support one another, and we'll be there for as long as it takes with whatever it takes.
To prop up the economy, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre is demanding Trudeau recall Parliament to cut taxes and greenlight major energy projects.
It is insane that in this great crisis, Parliament is shut down.
Some Canadians are already lashing out, booing the American national anthem at a Toronto Raptors game. Canada's top diplomat in Washington is trying to smooth things over, still promising to crack down on drugs and migrants at the border to satisfy Trump's stated concerns.
It's hard to know what more we can do, but we're obviously open to any other suggestions that come our way.
There's no clarity on how long these tariffs could last. With so many American jobs dependent on Canadian trade, pressure could build at home for Trump to back down on this. Canada, though, is preparing for a war of attrition. JP Tasker, CBC News, Ottawa.
So far, Donald Trump's reaction to Canada's counter tariffs has been angry defiance. But as Katie Simpson shows us, the notion that this trade war will bring pain for Americans too is setting in.
A defiant Donald Trump returning to Washington, digging in for a fight. In this moment, it seems unlikely a trade war can be avoided.
I'm speaking with Prime Minister Trudeau tomorrow morning. And I'm also speaking with Mexico tomorrow morning. And I don't expect anything very dramatic. We put tariffs on. They owe us a lot of money, and I'm sure they're going to pay.
Trump is undeterred, despite his own warnings of difficult times ahead. Writing on social media, will there be some pain? Yes, maybe. and maybe not. It will all be worth the price that must be paid.
Donald Trump saying no more. We're not going to be taken advantage of anymore.
Border security concerns and stopping illegal drugs may be the official reasons the Trump administration is using to justify the tariffs. But according to the vice president, tariffs will also generate revenue to pay for Trump's campaign promises.
We are committed to getting America back on a sustainable fiscal pathway. Part of that, we really think the president believes, is the tariff equation. J.D. Vance seemed to change the goalposts again, writing on social media, "Spare me the sob story about how Canada is our best friend. Is the government meeting their NATO target for military spending?" Within Trump's inner circle, there's not much sympathy for America's trading partners.
So economically, yes, they will feel pain. They will feel what this consequences are, and will be able to continue to go forward with a president who's strong, who's putting America first.
There are some hostile words, too, for Prime Minister Justin Trudeau after announcing Canada's response.
My advice to him is he probably ought to talk to the Canadian people who are about ready to throw him out of office because he's been a total disaster.
All of it is in line with Trump's increasingly incendiary rhetoric about Canada. Complaining about trade deficits, he wrote, "Without this massive subsidy, Canada ceases to exist as a viable country. Harsh but true. Therefore, Canada should become our cherished 51st state."
Between the tariffs and the language, Trump is facing intense opposition from Democrats who are warning Americans about just how much this is going to increase the cost of living. Estimates here range anywhere from an extra $1,200 a year to much higher costs if people are planning on making any big-ticket purchases like a vehicle. Katie Simpson, CBC News, Washington.
A day after BC Premier David Eby announced a slew of measures to counter the tariffs imposed by the U.S. government, local liquor stores and restaurants are having to make a quick adjustment. Saurabh Sandhu reports.
Brendan Wooldridge is the bar manager at Shambar Restaurant. He says American bourbon is one of their most popular spirits.
Buffalo Trace is our house whiskey, and we go through a lot of it, and it is a called-upon brand. We do have some regulars as well that have a couple particular back bar items, such as Angel's Envy bourbon, that they are big fans of.
But soon the restaurant may not have quite the variety of liquors from the U.S. after Premier David Eby ordered the BC Liquor Distribution Branch to immediately stop purchasing American liquor from Republican-led red states and remove the top-selling American brands from public liquor store shelves.
But it is kind of disappointing to see it go down this route because some of our American products we love. We live in a global world. We love our European products. We love our local products. We want to be able to support them all.
On Sunday, Minister Ravi Kahlon, who heads BC's Trade and Economic Security Task Force, was in Vancouver. He says the move to halt all American liquor purchases is deliberate.
We have targeted red states because, quite frankly, Donald Trump doesn't care about Democrat states. We want to make sure that we're not punishing states that have nothing to do with this.
Some BC businesses are acting quickly to replace U.S. products with Canadian alternatives, sharing these posts on social media shortly after the Premier's announcement.
A big thing for us, though, is going to be making sure we're finding alternatives that we can use that will keep our margins and prices stable.
The restaurant industry employs more than 200,000 people in the province. Experts say supporting local is key to keeping the industry afloat.
What we don't want is just people to sort of retreat into their homes and get worried. We want them to continue to go out, to enjoy and support local businesses, whether they're retailers or they're restaurants.
Premier Eby had previously pushed for retaliatory tariffs and export bans if the tariffs went through. Now that they have, Kahlon says that is still a possibility.
Everything is on the table.
The mayor of Surrey has issued an urgent appeal to the province, calling for an immediate suspension of the gas tax and PST on all BC-made goods. Premier David Eby is set to visit Washington, D.C. later this month to make a case against the tariffs. Saurabh Sandhu, CBC News, Vancouver.
Yvette Bren now on more on how other provinces and territories are responding to Donald Trump's decision to target Canada in his trade war.
Bottles of Kentucky bourbon and Tennessee whiskey are whisked from BC store shelves days before the U.S. tariffs hit.
It's sad. It's a sad state. Our two countries rely on each other. Our economies were interlinked after generations of building together, and it's sad to see that we're here today.
Manitoba liquor marts will pull American products by Tuesday.
This means that we are going to be taking $80 million out of the U.S. economy.
In Ontario, the LCBO is scrubbing American products from its catalog. American distillers say bans in multiple provinces will affect more than $1 billion in cross-border booze trade.
In the Canadian and the American distilled spirits industry has thrived together without tariffs and without trade barriers. And we need to muscle through this. It's going to hurt, but hopefully cooler heads will prevail with our government.
Some economists warn fighting the U.S. tariffs tit for tat is a losing battle.
And for the mouse to attack the two-ton elephant and say we're going to get in there and beat them up and knock the mouse, the two-ton elephant out, it's just preposterous. And so we're going to lose.
This Vancouver bar manager says they'll be making old fashions in a new way, substituting BC spirits for American ones.
It feels kind of like we're caught in a schoolyard fight and a little childish and disappointing, and we're just hoping that this kind of gets resolved quickly.
For provinces still stocking U.S. alcohol when tariffs kick in on Tuesday, expect those prices to climb. Yvette Brand, CBC News, Vancouver.
The American national anthem was met with a rousing chorus of boos at tonight's Canucks game here in Vancouver.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light?
Fans making no secret their displeasure with Trump's tariffs. However, the crowd did make sure to give tonight's singer a big round of applause following the Canadian anthem. Much of BC's south coast woke up to the first significant snow dump of the winter season, and that had many people heading outdoors to their favorite hills to enjoy the freshly fallen snow after a very dry January.
They love that it's super steep and it's the one really good hill in the city. I've been coming to this hill since I was really, really young, because I was born and raised here, and I grew up in a co-op just down there, so we used to come here all the time. It's a lot of fun.
Up to 20 centimeters of snow fell on most of Metro Vancouver. Special weather statements blanketed the BC coast, and forecasters warn it's going to get colder than usual through much of this week.
As long as this cold Arctic air is in place, it is going to be a different world for us. We haven't had to really deal with snow and ice so far this winter. So it's just to take a matter of, remembering those ways that we keep ourselves safe during this time.
She says temperatures may hover above the 0 mark during the days, but it will drop at night. Amid cold weather warnings, shelters in Nanaimo are working to keep the city's unhoused population safe. As Claire Palmer reports, support workers are enhancing outreach supports and access to extreme weather spaces.
With the first sight of snow this winter, Nanaimo support workers are mobilizing much of Vancouver Island under an extreme weather warning due to expected cold temperatures and snow flurries.
We're in for some really cold weather, and it's met the threshold for the city's emergency weather response. And we're opening up, in addition to already established services, some emergency services for folks to shelter overnight at.
City facilities like the Centennial Building here now being converted into a daytime warming space for up to 80 people looking to escape the cooler temperatures. Gesselbrock says spaces like this are funded through the province's extreme weather response program.
Just think the importance of the collaboration of all the community agencies and different levels of government. It really shows that when a response is needed, we can pull things together and make sure that our community is safe.
Other emergency spaces also opening up across the city this weekend. Here at Risebridge, they're opening their doors early so people can stay warm before its overnight shelter opens. Siobhan Johnson with Risebridge says the center has been packed with people since Saturday. On Sunday afternoon, Johnson said more than 100 people had already accessed the space.
The numbers are really showing that this need is there, and the need is quite great, and especially, when it's cold.
She says they've been able to open this emergency weather space in Nanaimo through community donations.
This is our way of keeping people out of the hospital, preventing frostbite and being able to meet people's basic needs.
Risebridge staff and volunteers are also doing outreach north of Nanaimo in the Oceanside area, an area advocates say is greatly underserved.
We have no full-time shelter, and we really, really need one and have been trying to get one here, but the city council doesn't seem to be moving on that.
She's calling on local city councillors to open a permanent year-round shelter space. Environment Canada says colder temperatures on the island are expected to stick around until late this week, with more snow on the way. Claire Palmer, CBC News, Nanaimo. A Surrey community kitchen that serves more than 200 vulnerable people each day is having to shut down their meal program following funding cuts. As Shoria Chethri reports, it comes as homelessness in the city surges.
I come here whenever I can, whenever I need something.
Surrey Urban Mission is a place of refuge for Mukesh Ram. He used to spend many nights here in their shelter before moving into a small one-bedroom suite.
I'm paying $1,100 for one box room space and nothing else.
Ram says his disability benefits barely cover the cost of rent, and the little that's left over, not enough for food. He often finds himself back at the community kitchen looking for a warm meal. Surrey Urban Mission, which started in 1995, runs a 16-bed shelter, supportive housing, and a community meal program for more than 200 people each day.
We try to make things really, really home cooking, things that they can relate to, and then just that way they know exactly what is going on their plate.
The shelter and its program were set to close in December when its provincial funding ended. At the last minute, the province stepped up with $1.9 million to keep it open until 2026. But the organization's CEO says that's not enough to keep the meal program running.
We found that the total funding was only going to be enough to run the shelter and the community connection workers and support the community meal program just until March 31st, 2025.
Which means food will only be served to the handful of people who stay at the shelter.
It wouldn't serve those people that are on the street, the people that are living rough every night and that really need it.
BC Housing says it's disheartened by the shutdown, but remains committed to helping Surrey's homelessness population, which the city says has grown by 65% in the past 3 years.
We can't be pulling the rug out from people that need this service with absolutely no backup plan.
A report from 2023 shows roughly 1,000 people are experiencing homelessness in Surrey. Nearly 400 of them had no shelter at all. In a statement, the city says it is the responsibility of the province to ensure vulnerable individuals are provided with wraparound supports.
We need to be providing more housing with wraparound service and with the support services such as meal service here.
Last fall, the city approved a new homelessness strategy that outlined a need for 2,300 more housing units by 2029. But Ram says people need help now.
They're going to be hungry, they're going to be no food, no water, no washroom, nowhere to go.
Shoria Chethri, CBC News, Vancouver.
After the break, how a local program is empowering young Black girls in BC. Stay with us. As we mark Black History Month in Canada, how a local program is empowering the next generation of Black women in BC, providing them with tools to combat discrimination while giving them a safe space to celebrate heritage and identity.
Hi, it's Tulivu speaking.
As a second-generation immigrant from Kenya, Tulivu Wamai didn't always feel like she belonged in her Surrey high school.
I definitely have experienced racism, I've experienced insults.
Wamai says she longed for a space to share her cultural experiences, a community where she could build confidence and find mentors. She found that within Empowered Black Girl, a program for girls in grades 8 to 12.
I felt like it was a safe space and that I could be honest, and that the stories I would share as an experiences, they're shared experiences.
The program is run by Black Women Connect Vancouver, a volunteer organization that holds workshops, conferences, and events to support Black teens.
Black girls have unique experiences, and it's layered with racial discrimination, gender discrimination, microaggressions. The list can go on. And all that erodes confidence. It erodes your connection to your cultural identity, your connection to your racial identity. And so we are trying to turn the tide on that.
Adeze Oputa Anu moved to BC from Nigeria in 2017. She says there is a need for more resources and funding for programs that support Black girls in Metro Vancouver.
We're still hearing these stories. Even up until recently, from different school districts around Black girls, Black youth who are experiencing racial discrimination and not being supported in the way that we hope they will be.
The Black community in the region has historically been one of the smallest in the country, but has grown in recent years. The 2021 census shows there are roughly 41,000 Black residents in Metro Vancouver.
We went to the zoo.
Since completing the program, Wamai has been studying to become a social worker while volunteering with Empowered Black Girl. Also working at the Umoja Operation Compassion Society, helping run an after-school program for immigrant and refugee children.
It's been fun to help people and pour into people and mentor kids the same way that I've been mentored in my life.
I think that's the kind of ecosystem that we're looking to build, where the people who have gone through the program and understand the benefits and the impact are coming back to say, we want more girls to have this experience.
A full circle moment for Wamai, who hopes to continue inspiring more young Black girls to achieve their goals.
Here we have a live shot of White Rock Pier tonight, and as we can see, a little bit of snow still on the ground. I'll have your full forecast coming up next. All right, it is time now to take a look at the weather for the week ahead. Let's begin with tomorrow's cast. In Fort St. John, a mix of sun and clouds and around a -23 for tomorrow. Williams Lake is going to see a little more snow precipitation with a -21 for tomorrow. In Golden, -5 is your high for tomorrow, and on the island in Victoria, 3 is your high for tomorrow with a mix of snow flurries and rain. And in Metro Vancouver, 1 is our high for tomorrow and an overcast skies. The sun is going to pop out on Tuesday with a 1 degree, and it looks like that sun is going to stick around for the remainder of the week. That is your late news for this Sunday. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. To keep up to date with all the latest news, visit our website at cbc.ca/bc. Hope you have a great week.